So here's my VS Code opened up here. Let me just create a new project. Just going to go on my settings here, command palette, and then if you don't see this here, we can just type new, like Flutter new project like this, and then I'm just going to say default application with a comment. I'm gonna choose where I need to save this. So I save all my apps in where is that? It's to Studio Projects. I'm gonna click here and then select this folder. And then I'm just going to name this as Flutter Chess. And then I'm gonna click enter. So the application has been created. Let's close all these, and then as we can see, we have a new application here created. So let's just test it, but we don't have an emulator yet. I've got an emulator, but I'm just going to show you guys how we need to create the emulator. So first of all, before we go further, I just need to explain a few things. You in this project, you must have some knowledge of Flutter, just a basic knowledge, and also it's I take this as you've already installed Flutter in your Windows or Mac. You have to install Flutter first before you start this project. So after you have installed Flutter, then you can come back and do the steps that I've just did, that opening a new project. Yeah, it's just some basic knowledge of that and installing Flutter, and then you are good to go. You also need to have Android Studio installed on your machine, because I'm preferring this course to do it in VS Code. I could also do it in Android Studio, but even if you're doing it in VS Code, we need Android Studio for the next step we are doing, because we can create an emulator using Android Studio. So here's our first page here with a new application created. Let's open up Android Studio and create a emulator. For me, I can just come back, press here, and then I can choose from the emulators I've already created here. Let me just pick like a Pixel 5. Here it is opening up. So this, what you've just seen there, was that test app for a chess game, which is already in this device, already installed. So here's our application, our device loaded, and then I'm just going to go here and then run this application. So it takes a bit of time to run for the first time, and then once it runs for the first time, and then you are good to go. So there it is, our application is running. Okay, so we have the basic application. This is already default application created by the Flutter team, and then now let me just show you how to install it to have this emulator. So you need to open up Android Studio. Here's my Android Studio here. Let's just open this new application that we have created also in Android Studio. So I'm just going to say open here and then look for it where I saved it inside my computer. So where did I save that? It was in users under my name, and then it was where is that? Studio project, and then it's right here which says Flutter Chess. I'm going to click OK. So the same application is also opened in Android Studio. Let's minimize this. So we can see Android Studio is asking us for something here that we need to configure. Let's just let's just configure it for now. We need to download the APK and all of these, but you can install it and wait for it. I already have them in my other project. This project I'm not going to code it in Android Studio, so I won't accept this. So for you if you are using Android Studio, you need to update all of this. So I'm just going to ignore it. I've opened up Android Studio just to show you guys how to create an emulator for those who don't know. So once Android Studio is opened like this is the same project. You will come here to device manager, click here. So these two are the devices that I have. If I go to my Visual Studio here, you can see that if I click here, it's these two, this one and this one. Okay, so in Android Studio, because I created them from Android Studio, so to create a new device, you just click here on create. Then from here the steps are just simple. Just pick which device you would like. I personally chose this one, the Pixel 5 and the Pixel 6 Pro, which is these. Both of them don't have the Play Store. I've seen the devices with Play Stores have got this sign here. So after you have picked, for example, let me pick this again, you can just click next. Then from here you have to download the software here, I mean the operating system. If you don't have, for me I downloaded these two, so I can choose between these two, but I would prefer 30 API level 31 and above. So personally I think this is what works best, 31 and above. So I installed this one, which is in both my emulators. So you just choose here, and then once you choose, you just click. Once you download here, it will be available. All of these which I haven't downloaded, there is a download symbol here. You just download here and then you click. Once I've picked like this one, you click next, and then from here you choose hardware here so that it works fine. I don't choose automatically, you just choose hardware here, and then down here you show advanced settings, and then you can, from down here you can increase the RAM of your emulator, you can increase the internal storage. Also I'd recommend you to increase this and at least the RAM at least to 4 gig or more. Even this storage you increase it, and then from there you can just click finish. Once you I'm not going to click here, because once you just click here, it's going to show up here, and then that's it, you have created an emulator. Once you do that step, for those who will be coding in Android Studio, you can continue. It's exactly the same. I just prefer VS Code. Some of the people are used with Android Studio, even me. It just depends on what I'm doing. Sometimes I use Android Studio. Okay, so there, from after we have created the device, we can go ahead and close Android Studio. We can exit, and then let's go back to our VS Code. Okay, so we open back this emulator that we had here. Okay, if we can test this, it's just working fine. Now let's start creating our application.